Hey girls, I'm Caitlin Zick, author of Look at You Girl, and I actually said hey guys the first time. I'm like, this isn't for guys, this is for the ladies only. So I am today here to just read a little excerpt of my book to you because we want to share it with you from a moral revolution standpoint and a new dating program that we're working on. So a little bit about Look at You Girl is I wrote a book that was easy to read because I have a confession that I am terrible at finishing a book. I'm really good at starting a book. I'll have a stack that I'm reading, and I probably will not ever finish any of them. So I was like, I have to write a book that I would actually finish. So it's 8 chapters. You read it in 1 week. It's actually 7 chapters. The 8th one's just like a good job, girl, you did it. So it's 7 chapters. Read 1 chapter a day, and you can say, I read a book. Or a lot of people love to kind of span it out and read it with a group of friends, like once a week, 1 chapter a week, and talk through it. So either way, but the whole goal and premise of the book is it's a kickstart to seeing yourself the way God does. And so it really just is bits and pieces of my journey, sharing how I changed my view, my understanding, my perspective of knowing, oh, this is what God says. This is who God says I am. And really breaking off a lot of the cultural lies and norms that I had totally adopted as mine and realizing I'm actually adopted as a daughter of the King. And so the first chapter is Motivation Monday, Transformation Tuesday, which really talks about how our lives are completely and utterly transformed by the power of God. Word Wednesday, which goes after the words and the labels that have just attacked your life, gone after who you are. Honestly, lies that we've told ourselves, like, oh, I'm just too this or I'm not enough of that. It really goes after those words and labels. And then Thankful Thursday, which is where we're going to stop and pause and read an excerpt from today. And Thankful Thursday is not just like, oh, it's November, we're thankful for all the things. It's talking about what if we shift and be thankful for who God made us. Because so often comparison is knocking at our door, beating our door down most days, saying, you're not enough of this. Like, look at her, look at them, look what they have, look what she has. Oh, don't you just wish? You know, it's screaming at us sometimes. And honestly, I'm sure, you know, back in the 1950s, it was screaming at people when they looked at their neighbor's new car or something. But with social media, it's like comparisons on steroids, because in a matter of seconds, you can scroll and see all of the places people are going, all the things people are doing, all of the beautiful things that they have to wear, whatever it is for us girls that we're just like, oh, it can really feel like a war of something that jealousy and envy and all of that can take root. So that's where we're going to pause and read an excerpt from today. But just to let you know, the rest of the chapters are Feedback Friday, and that one's all about having healthy feedback in your life. So whether that's from leaders and mentors in your life, but also I've heard this time and time again, it's finding community of like, how do I find real deep friendships that go past the surface level? And then Soul Saturday is really where we take a soul check and say, man, girl, we invest so much money and time taking care of our outer selves. We need to learn how to take care of our inner selves, our souls. And then the last chapter is Sabbath Sunday, and it's just talking about slow is so good for the soul. And we are so rush. We find our significance a lot in the busyness of our calendars. When you ask somebody how they're doing nowadays, it's just, I'm so busy. And so it's really slowing down and understanding the power of rest is Sabbath Sunday. So here we go, buckle up. We're going to spend about 10 or 15 minutes reading a little bit of this chapter, dialoguing a bit about it, just so you can kind of get a taste of it, and honestly just to share that message about comparison with you. So the very beginning of chapter 4, Thankful Thursday, starts like this. You are an original. There is no one that is you. That is your power. There are specific and unique things about your makeup that no one else has or ever has had. Today, we're going to figure out how to be thankful for our uniqueness. We will learn to choose gratitude over criticism and comparison. What happens when you look in the mirror? Do you immediately think loving, truth-filled, good thoughts? Or do you automatically get filled with feelings of disgust, perfectionism, or terrible thoughts about yourself? Simply put, do you have positive or negative thoughts and feelings when you see yourself? Stop with me and think about how crazy it is that as women, young and old, we are sold the lie that we have to fix our problem areas. What a ridiculous idea that an entire industry is targeting and telling us what is wrong about our face or our body. Sister, there is nothing inherently wrong with you. Your beauty comes from within and will glow from the inside out when your soul is healthy. Instead, we're bombarded with lies like your nose is too big, your legs are too skinny, your face is too round, your hair isn't the right color, your lips are too thin, your eyebrows aren't the right shape, and the list goes on. When we were younger, it's that something is too big or too small, stuff this or suck that in. And as we grow older, it becomes all about the laugh lines or crow's feet. I'm pretty sure there are no bird's feet on my face, and as I age, I will celebrate the lines that show I've lived a life full of laughter and joy. I'm not saying we don't take care of ourselves, because our bodies are a temple of the Holy Spirit and should be treated well. I'm simply suggesting there's more to self-care than face masks and hair treatments. I'm wondering if we could get our soul healthy enough that we could truly be thankful for who we are and how we've been designed, on purpose, with purpose. And so in this chapter, we talk about I give the idea, which we won't read this part. You'll have to get the book to read it. But I talk about what if we were triggered. So that moment we said in the beginning of like, every time you walk by a mirror, what do you think? Because for me, I will be honest that I'm the queen of vulnerability for sure. So I'm like, okay, today, before I got ready to come in to work, I literally had my top ponytail that I normally sleep in, like here. So I actually like took the trash out this morning. I'm like, my neighbors probably think I'm crazy because my hair is like over here, like an 80s ponytail. And I had a big frumpy, actually old maternity sweatshirt on and my glasses and a big zit from wearing masks. And I was like, every time I look in the mirror, I'm like, oh my gosh, you look scary right now. Like when we walk by the mirror, we immediately think like, I need to fix that, or this isn't good. Or it's almost like I'm just prone to think the negative things right away. I need to fix that. That's not good. You never look at yourself and just say, oh, I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful God made me with green eyes, or I'm so thankful for my life or who I am. Like, I want to change that trigger because it feels like a trigger sometimes. And especially for those of us who maybe you struggle with your weight and you totally struggle with your body image, or there's so many things that you're like thinking, I need to go get Botox to change this. Like whatever extreme you're at and whatever age you're at, there's always something that can trigger us. But I'm like, what if every time we walked by a mirror, we were actually triggered to be thankful and thank God for who we are and who He's made us to be. And that's that type of soul health that I'm talking about, that if we get our inner world right, it's not just that we look at, oh, my gray hairs, or oh, my nose, like, or my smile, you know, whatever it is, you're like, oh, I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful that God, I'm your daughter and you made me just like this. And so I invite you to even like take some lipstick or take a dry erase marker or something and write on your mirror that you walk by every day, thankful. Or leave Post-it notes for yourself of today I'm thankful for this. And just to start to change that trigger to be like, no, I'm healthy and I'm going to be healthy from the inside out, not just from the outside in. I'm not going to just get a bunch of Botox and spray tan and all of the makeup to cover it up. No, I'm going to figure out how to love myself as I am and as the Lord made me. So that's an intro to the chapter, and then we're going to dig in and fast forward to the end of the chapter where we get a little bit more into comparison. And I share one of these quotes from E.E. Cummings that I love so much. It says, "To be nobody but yourself in a world which is doing its best night and day to make you everybody but yourself means to fight the hardest battle which any human being can fight and never stop fighting." Comparison steals our gratitude. It turns our grateful attitude into a jealous, envious, bitter attitude. Comparison stirs up discontent with who you are, what you have, and what you do. So we're going to spend some time digging into this subject and uprooting the lies of what comparison truly is. I believe when we do this, we will be set free to live more thankful, joy-filled, purpose-driven lives. I like to call it the comparison trap. It is so easily talked about and owned by myself and so many of us. I realized it's a really pretty label on something really ugly. I feel like it's easy for me to say, yeah, I struggle with comparison, but what is really behind the door of comparison? Jealousy, envy, bitterness, pride, and the list of nasty just goes on. I have always agreed with the thought that recognizing the problem is half the battle. Well, if this is true, then mislabeling the problem is a major issue. Because I can't say, oh, I just need to stop comparing and move on with my day. But when I actually open the door of comparison, I must realize what's behind that door, and in my heart is a whole lot of jealousy over my perceived notions of what others get to do. envy of what others have that I don't think they deserve. Or if they do, then I definitely do. Bitterness towards God or others for not blessing me with that. Or pride that I'm so much better than someone who made that bad choice. I mean, all kinds of evil, really. The Bible says in James 3:16, this is the New Living Translation, it says, "For wherever there is jealousy and selfish ambition, there you will find disorder and evil of every kind." What a word of truth. So if the comparison in my life is stirring up jealousy, envy, and selfish ambition, I can know what will follow: disorder, confusion, and every kind of evil. So no wonder it can seep into every area of my life or seem to consume my thoughts at times. It's a disorder that I do not want to dive into. I picture a trap door in the floor, the trap being comparison, and once I fall into the trap, I'm swimming in the mess of pride, jealousy, envy, bitterness, and more. I'm pretty sure this has happened since the Stone Ages, but in our time of social media, it's on steroids. The comparison trap is at our fingertips all day long. We can get into a daze as we scroll through others' lives instead of appreciating our own. Watch your thoughts while you scroll. As I often say, slow your scroll. Pay attention to what is feeding and fueling your thoughts. Are you feeling any envy and bitterness, pride, jealousy, self-loathing, competition? If so, take a break. Hit that unfollow button if that feed isn't feeding your soul anything good. If it is sending you on a downward spiral, stop it. And I have a little side note, sister, here that says there are loads of accounts you can follow that are filled with daily encouragement and truth. People who are aiming to inspire, not just impress. Feeds full of truth and scripture. Find those and follow. Stop subscribing to accounts that don't line up with your most treasured values and the path that you want to be on. That's just a simple reminder, because sometimes we make the excuse, like we do even about music. We're like, oh, I don't listen to the lyrics. We kind of do the same thing sometimes with the scrolls. We just scroll through these different accounts that trigger so many things in us. You're like, man, if that's not feeding my soul and it's only feeding it these things, then it's just time to hit the unfollow. So I'm going to share my gratitude game that I made up for myself. If I'm scrolling and start to feel myself getting stuck, I stop. I go to my own feed and scroll, because it is impossible for me to not count my blessings and be filled with gratitude for my beautiful life. Hebrews 12:15 says, "Look after each other so that none of you fails to receive the grace of God. Watch out that no poisonous root of bitterness grows up to trouble you, corrupting many." Let's make sure that we're not allowing the poison of bitterness to take root inside of us. Instead of living bitter, let's live better. This happens best when you're living in close relationship with others. Just like this verse above says, look after each other. Do you have anyone close enough to help keep you from comparison and bitterness and all sorts of evil? Sometimes the problem is we don't let anyone in enough to call us out in truth and love. That's what we'll talk about tomorrow. Today, end your day with thanksgiving and gratitude. Go write thankful on your mirror and thank God for this beautiful life you've been given. You are unique. You are an original masterpiece. And so, girls, that's just a little excerpt of this chapter 4 in my book today. We're so excited that you're digging in and diving in, and every day at the end of the chapters, there's some soul work for you to do. One of the things for this chapter is to write down 3 things that you're thankful for about your physical body, and to write down 3 things that you're thankful for about your inside, your inner world, your strengths, your character, your values. And that when thoughts of comparison come up, choose to celebrate instead. When you think, oh, why did she get that? Man, God, thanks for hooking her up with that. And celebrating with people, and so that we don't lose that art of celebrating with others and get stuck in comparison, but that we say, oh man, God, you have good things for me too. And also at the end of each chapter, we have songs. And these are just songs that I have found I love and that inspire me, that bring me back to the place of the core of who I am and who God says I am. And you can get the book to see a couple of the other songs, but one of my favorite ones listed in this chapter is You and You Alone by Upper Room Music. So there's just a piece and a portion of Look at You, Girl. We hope you liked it, and we'll see you next time.